dangerous?
According to a new report published on March 1st, 2017, folks, that's just last year, by the Department of Health and Human Services of the United States.
That's a federal office.
Read that number.
About $3,363,282,409.21 have been paid for vaccine adverse reactions and deaths from 1989 to 2017 so far. Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Jack here.
And Mary.
And welcome back to the Forbidden Doctor podcast.
Yeah, this is episode 138. The FDA admits vaccines can cause autism.
Now, I know we focus on the dangers of vaccinations a lot.
A lot.
But we still have vaccine-damaged children being brought into the clinic for help.
Yes, we run across them all the time.
And this is a subject, I know, of great controversy, and we don't want to add to the controversy. We want to help decrease the controversy through peer-reviewed, published research. There is this new law in Utah concerning vaccinations that goes into effect July 1st, 2018.
Yeah, it's 1 month from now.
Yeah, and we want to talk about that law and the ramifications it offers now and in the emerging future regarding our personal freedom and the health of our families. So the question, of course, is, will Utah and your state or your province or your country, wherever you are listening, become like California, where there is no choice left?
Yeah, I want to tell a real quick story here about autism and vaccinations. I went to get my teeth cleaned. It was not clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lady that was taking care of me said, I mentioned the podcast and the Forbidden Doctor like I always do. And she said, I must have said something about vaccinations because she said, oh, vaccinations destroyed my brother. And I said, what are you talking about? The HPV, the vaccination for girls that girls get.
Well, the boys now.
Yeah, it's crazy boys are getting this. It's crazy girls are getting it. And we've told stories about the damage we've seen in our patients from that vaccine before. But this one was specific to autism. And she said, my mom took my brother when he was 12 years old to go get that HPV vaccine. And all the way there, he kept saying, Mom, I don't feel good about this. I don't want to do this. I'm not scared of the shot. I just don't feel good about it. I don't want to do this. And she kept saying, no, we have to be responsible. No, we have to do this. This is to protect the girls and society and everything else. And he argued all the way there. This lady said, it was his sister, as she recounted the story to me. And she said, he's gone since that vaccine. She said he's now 22 years old. And he every day goes out and walks the park right by where we live. And that's what triggered the story. Oh. I'm remembering now because I told her where we lived. And she said, oh, my brother walks that park. He just wrings his hands and walks the park across and back. In fact, the police have been called on him a couple times because they didn't know.
Some kind of a lurker or something?
Well, because he's 22 now.
Yeah.
He's 22. And I said, can he talk?
He's probably still 12. He's probably younger than 12
I don't know.
In a 22-year-old body.
Yeah, I asked her if he could talk, and she said, yes, he can talk if you talk to him. But he doesn't like speak. He'll just answer questions. He can still form words and everything like that, but he doesn't carry on a conversation, nor does he initiate a conversation. Oh. Beautiful 12-year-old can cause autism.
10 years later.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to that in this podcast for sure.
Finally, we're being validated and vindicated and everything
by the
else.
FDA, no less.
By the FDA. Okay, here's our little disclaimer. We'd like you all to pause the movie and read that.
All right.
Okay.
So now here's the biggie thing we want to talk about. Two biggie things. This is the first biggie thing. The FDA has published conclusive proof on their website that DTaP vaccine can cause autism. DTaP being diphtheria, tetanus, and acellular pertussis, or whooping cough.
Yeah, and according to the FDA's online biologics blood vaccine document, a vaccine manufacturer admits on its package insert that their vaccine can cause autism as one of many other adverse reactions.
Yeah, and these adverse reactions reported during the post-approval use of Triped, and the post-approval proof means once it's been approved, what kind of reactions are we getting out there? And we know, not by more than just consensus, that about only 1% to 2% of vaccine injuries are actually reported to the FDA.
Well, they're voluntary.
Yeah, and it's all voluntary.
Yeah.
Well, there's an act of Congress that says they're supposed to, but it's not enforced.
Well,
so,
the one patient we had, she tried to report it, and they
wouldn't take it.
They wouldn't take it.
So these adverse effects that were reported included idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura. Boy, there's a nice one. That's just simply where you get these little itty-bitty blood clots in the capillary beds. Because it'll show up on the skin as these little reddish purple dots. Mm-hmm. But the problem is it's not just on the skin, it's at the end point in capillary beds. It could be in the lungs, could be in the kidneys, could be in the liver, that can easily lead to organ dysfunction, sending a 1, 2, 3-year-old into the need for transplants.
Well, and then the anaphylactic shock. I don't want to over SIDS because that's huge, but the anaphylactic, that's what we had happen with one of our patients too. She just
fell on the floor and stopped breathing.
Yeah, couldn't
and then, of course,
breathe
SIDS.
after that. And SIDS, which is huge, sudden infant death syndrome, which is rampant in our society, but they've classified it differently in the last 12 years. And we have a podcast on this where we went into this in depth, how they said, SIDS has gone way down, but they just reclassified it to
under different designations, different names, so it doesn't seem like there's so many SIDS anymore.
But the reason I point that out also is because the Japanese do not vaccinate until age 2, and they don't have the incidence of SIDS that we do. Okay, keep reading.
Now, these aren't things that people have just told us. Oh, hey, Dr. Jack, Mary, we're having these problems. This is
Serious
published
frequency.
on the FDA's website. Cellulitis, which of course is inflammation of the cells. You get these big red splotchy stuff. And what's that word that starts with A? Autism.
Finally.
Convulsions, grand mal convulsions, encephalopathy, which is conditions in the brain, hypotonia, which means your muscles just get super weak. Neuropathy, which is again like encephalopathy is the brain, neuropathy is the rest of the nervous system having some kind of condition. Somnolence, which is just drowsiness.
Sleepiness.
Yes, sleepiness, drowsiness, and apnea, which means a cessation of breathing.
Yeah, sleep apnea.
So events were included in this list because of the seriousness of or the frequency of reporting.
Yeah.
As I think it says there, yes.
And then later on in the article, it says it's time for Congress to rescind the get-out-of-jail-free card for vaccine makers and stop the aggressive onslaught of the autism spectrum disorder, which is really just brain damage.
Well, that's it.
I wish they would just call it brain damage.
There is a move out there right now to not say so much that vaccines cause autism, because there's a lot of kids that got vaccines that didn't get autism. It's that vaccines cause brain damage, and it causes brain damage because of what's in the cocktail mixture.
Mm-hmm. That which is depriving children of a fulfilling life and ruining families emotionally, financially, and physically to the point of parents divorcing because of the stress of ASD in families. And we've seen this in our clinic, just immense screaming and yelling. And
we have plenty of podcasts on this subject.
Blaming
where we go
the other patient.
Blaming everybody.
Or parent, I mean.
Yep.
Yeah. It's about time vaccines are publicly acknowledged by the feds and the media for all the health damages they have
Now, let me
caused.
ask you this question, Mary. What other industry in America is protected by the federal government?
Get a
out of jail free card. What other business in America?
Let's see, not ours.
Let's see. Airbag manufacturer? No.
No.
Brake manufacturer? No.
Tire
food
manufacturers?
processors? No. I can't think of anybody else
Farmers?
that gets a get out of jail free card for killing people, brain damaging people, seriously hurting people the rest of their lives, and they're not responsible for it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on.
I would take
Enough of my passive aggressiveness. Let's go on.
Infection risk versus the chronic.
Yes.
The chronic risks of the vaccines. Then later on, you were ahead of yourself, or you just knew this slide
I knew
was
this
coming.
was coming. I had these perceptive powers.
According to a new report published on March 1st, 2017, folks, that's just last year, by the Department of Health and Human Services of the United States.
That's a federal office.
Read that number.
About $3,363,282,409.21 have been paid for vaccine adverse reactions and deaths from 1989 to 2017 so far. Paid for by what? The federal government.
Oh, who's that?
That's my tax dollars, and your tax dollars are going to pay parents of vaccine-damaged children because Congress passed a law that said you can't sue a vaccine company for vaccine damages.
Get out of jail free card. Yeah. I love this. It says about, and then it comes right down to
To the penny.
0.21 cents.
Yep.
Well, they have to adjust for future monies that are going to be taken out. Okay.
All right. So, and now we're going to come to the next biggie.
Yeah,
Biggie number
this is
2.
our new Utah. As you all know, I know people listen to this everywhere. We have them in Greece and South Korea and Ireland.
China, Korea, Australia, Greece, several European countries, and South Africa, and
Brazil.
and Zambia.
Oh, you saw that?
I saw it on our download thing. Zambia,
so
right?
we know who's listening.
Yes, we know who
But
you
most
are.
of them are from Utah and the United States, of course. So this is very prescient for the people that are listening.
And one of the big reasons we bring this up, of course, is what's just recently happened in the last couple of years in California, mandatory vaccinations. And the only way you can get out of it is an MD signature, and most MDs will not sign an exemption because of the pressure that they will get from their own industry and community.
Yeah, so House Bill
308,
Yeah.
signed into law a year ago by Governor Gary Herbert, has changed the vaccine rules for Utah students. Beginning July 1st, students who are not vaccinated will only be admitted into school for 21 days on a conditional basis. Then after 21 days, the unvaccinated student will be expelled
Yeah.
unless vaccinated or a valid exemption is presented.
So here's what will happen. Parents who decline will have to complete an online education module. Now it's a 20-minute video, or
Yeah,
we're not sure quite yet.
because it's not ready to go. If it was, we would have the
Yeah, maybe we should have our son
URL
wait. Because our son is going to the University of Utah next year, and they require vaccinations. So,
but it's a public school, so it comes under the state law.
right, so he doesn't have to. He can get an exemption.
an exemption.
So far, until we're
far.
like California.
Yeah.
So maybe we should have him do this so we can see the 20-minute video. And
Yeah,
we
because-
will have so much fun with that.
Yeah, because those parents who are looking to obtain an exemption, as Mary says, they're going to have to complete this online education module. No doubt, we think, in the style of the 1950s Red Scare, telling them about the deadly pandemics hiding under every bed and all of the Russian anti-vaxxer bots that are working tirelessly to destroy the fabric of our country. With that political commentary aside, the parents who refuse will be required to have this is quoting from the law, an in-person consultation with a public health official. Now, if you want an exemption, what it's saying is you go online to the Utah Health Department and you will take this 20-minute video.
And then you download the exemption form.
Then you take it to school, and then you're exempted. Now, if you don't want to do that, then you have to go meet with a public health official. In other
Authority.
words, those who would choose to exercise their rights at this point, of course, are going to be bullied and threatened into vaccinating their children.
But you know what? That's not any different now. In fact, it's easier with this, I think, because I would rather watch a 20-minute video and download the form and take it in. Before, I had to go in with a Rourke and go in and sit down.
And
the
talk
nurse
to
would
Nurse
just,
Cratchit.
I mean, it was just like fires coming out of her
Yeah.
eyes. But I loved it, man.
Don't you know you're bringing disease to Utah?
I was so excited every time I got to do this
Yes.
because I educated the
So
nurse.
I agree with you. It's easier now for parents to do it, but it's a step in the wrong direction.
Yes, it certainly is. Yeah.
Because what's the next step?
Well,
Well, we're moving
mandatory.
towards mandatory.
Mandatory. And it's just stunning that
Yep.
they've done that in California. So, and then they're going to tell us about the risks of non-vaccinations. Boy,
That's what the 20-minute video
I
is
would
for.
really, I wonder if they talk about all the things that we talked about.
The risks of non-vaccinating, you're bringing deadly disease, you're trying to kill the other children in the room.
Oh, I know. The herd immunity, all those arguments that are
Yep.
so ridiculous. We'll talk about those in a minute. And then the side effects of
Of the vaccine.
of the
But they'll
vaccine.
tell
I
you,
wonder if they'll
tell
put
you that they're
autism.
extremely rare.
Extremely rare, which we're going to show you in
Because
just a
remember
minute.
about the insert, most parents never bother to read the insert that came with the vaccine that they're having injected in their child.
Honey, they don't give it to you. At least I
You
wasn't
have to
given it.
ask for it. And what do you want that for? I just want to know there's nothing in there but sterile water and a dead bug.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I was so brainwashed also, or non-thinking is a better word, because I wasn't really talked into this. But even my oldest daughter, who I vaccinated, she had a seizure at 18 months after the vaccination. And what did I keep doing?
More vaccinations.
I just kept giving them to them. And you know, I remember my sweet little daughter, Camille, she's my second. I remember giving those vaccines to her just thinking, if this hurts this beautiful, sweet child, I mean, she was just like gold. I mean, she's never caused any problems at all. If this hurts her, I would just die. And you know what? To this day, she hasn't been able to have children. And here's the thing. When she moved out a little earlier to move in with her dad before she graduated from high school, and her dad didn't know any better, neither did I. She went out and got all her vaccinations again because he didn't have the records.
I wonder if he did Gardasil, if he got her a Gardasil shot.
How long have they been doing Gardasil?
A long time.
Maybe, I don't know, but she says she has never felt good since then. And she's had other problems, but she hasn't. She's 35 now, and she hasn't been able to conceive.
Yeah.
And she thinks
it may be
from that. But, you know, I wonder, the side effects, are they going to say that? Infertility?
No, what they're going to say is there are some side effects like redness and swelling at the point of the injection. And there could be
Slight
a fever and maybe a little allergic reaction, but these things are very rare.
Yeah,
That's
because I didn't report the
seizure. They're not going to report what the FDA says. They're not going to report what the CDC says. They're just going to report, well, you know, some people get a headache, some people don't.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't report anything. I just figured it was for the good of all. In that video or that article, there's a nurse.
There was a link at the very bottom of that article that told them where on Channel 4 in Salt Lake City to go watch the commercial.
There it is. I brought it back.
Right.
So you can go to that link. She says, nurse.
This is a school nurse.
Nurse Cecily. See, I knew I'd mess
Cecily. Nurse Cecily. I only know that name because I knew a couple Cecilys.
I don't know any
Cecilys. Well, it's an Eastern name.
It's a pretty name.
It's an English name. So don't ever guess. Don't ever take it for granted your child will be okay without getting vaccinated.
No, wait, I have to say it because it was a woman.
Oh, okay.
Don't ever guess. Don't ever take it for granted your child will be okay without getting vaccinated.
Okay, then. Let's just guess that vaccinations then are safe and effective.
Let's just guess.
We have no research to the alternative. That's right, Cecily.
Parents who don't vaccinate are just guessers. That's all we do. So Natural Blaze this is another really good article on this. Utah residents need to fight back while this assault on their rights.
Against this assault
on their rights now, while they have a fighting chance before they end up like their peers in California.
Before they become mandatory.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
How do we fight this? I mean, it's like fighting City Hall. This just passed.
Passed a year ago.
Yeah, I didn't even really know this, but it started being in the news again because
it's going to be effective in a month. And the reason they're doing it in July instead of August or September is they want, as they say, well, we just want parents whose schedules are just full to the brink with all these little duties and responsibilities to have enough time to get their kids vaccinated
21
before school
days.
starts. Otherwise, 21 days, 20, 19.
If they start school and they're not vaccinated, they
16,
have 21 days.
15,
but
3,
listen, don't freak
2,
out.
1. Expelled.
You have 21 days to just get the exemption form.
Yeah.
Seems easy enough, and it is, but can you imagine in California? We have patients that moved to California, and they have 3 children that they adopted who have special needs. They're all on the autism spectrum.
Yep, all 3 of them.
And there's no way. She's like, I'll move. But she did get a medical doctor to give her an exemption, but she said, you know, there's going to be a lot of pain under the table for these.
Oh, yeah.
It's just...
It'll create a black market of exemption forms.
Yeah, it's very, very scary.
All right.
Okay, but let's go on to something happier.
Yes. A much better story.
This is a patient's amazing story of improvement in thyroid function. This is positive. This is wonderful. This is what we should be talking about all the time.
Yes, we should.
Okay. We have to show you some blood tests we got from a patient from Texas after taking our Aegis thyroid and Lee enzymes for about 9 months. Might have been a little longer. But I think that's how long she's taken it. She is also one of the ladies that we have a personalized testimonial on my and the book.
The book.
My book that's coming out.
Finished, yes.
Yeah, and so we've got her picture and everything. But she sent us this text right here. She said, "My most recent blood work, and just for reference." For a reference point, at my worst, my levels were her TSH was minus 0, pretty much non-existent. Her let's bring up her new test. Here's her new test that shows her free T3 at 3.4. Now, it was off the charts before. It was 10.86. I mean, that is off the charts. Notice that the reference range, in other words, the normal range, is between 2.2
and 4.2.
And 4.2, 2.2 and 4.2. She was 3.4, perfectly in the middle. Free T3
but previously, she was 10.86.
10.86.
Which is very high for T3. And T3 is the active form of your thyroid hormone. Why isn't the body using it? See, you could be hypothyroid, but still have tremendous amounts of thyroxine moving through the system. Oh, sure.
That's what I explain in my book really clearly.
Yes.
How
you spend a lot of time
these
on that.
toxins make their own hormones that block the receptors for your thyroxine.
Right.
And so your thyroid is just making all this hormone, but it can't go anywhere.
Right.
Can't do anything.
Spinning its wheels in the dirt.
So there is her, and I blocked all her names out. There is her beautiful T3 is in within normal range. Here is her T4. It's also in normal range, right smack in the middle of those reference ranges.
Right.
So hers is 1.51, and the range is from 0.8 or 0.80 to 1.9.
Yep.
So hers is right in the middle. And then here is her TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Bam! It's within normal range. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, and was she on a bunch of medications and everything? No, she was just taking some food-based supplementation to kick the thyroid back into balance.
Food-based supplementation.
Excuse me, we did make it.
Yes, we did. We made it for me.
And it works on the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the thyroid, and the adrenals.
It loops the HPT, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, HPA-T.
There you go.
HPA-T axis. It loops it all back together.
It brings it back into balance.
And she had such horrible symptoms. She had cystic acne, and she had her hair was falling out. And energy was super low.
Yes.
So she's very, very, very happy, and I'm so thrilled.
And she said, "Hey, yeah, show my stuff on your podcast."
Yeah, there it is. There's the text that says, "This is so wonderful. Can we share your story? It will help other people." And she says, "Of course, please do." So isn't that beautiful? So
yes.
Any of you out there in podcast land, if you have stories like this, please share them with us so we can share them with other people, because we can't know.
All right.
So back to the depressing thing.
No, this is actually pretty good here, because many people sincerely believe that all vaccines are safe, that adverse reactions are very rare, and this is the important thing, that there are no peer-reviewed scientific studies existing anywhere that shows that vaccines can cause harm. So this book here, Mary and I have it, Miller's Review of Critical Vaccine Studies, provides the other side of the story that's not commonly told.
Yeah.
It contains the summaries of 400 scientific papers to help parents and researchers enhance their understanding of vaccinations. And these scientific papers are not saying vaccines are all yummy and good. These are scientific, many of them peer-reviewed journal publications that show the serious side effects and adverse reactions that are associated with vaccines.
And this is a very easy book to read. That's why we like it so much.
Give an example.
I will, because the studies are very hard and difficult to read. So we took this off of Amazon because it is copy protected, but these were right on Amazon as the little samples. Here's one. Fully vaccinated children are significantly more likely to require emergency care than under-vaccinated children. And it says significantly more likely.
Yes. Now, look at the source.
JAMA.
Journal of the American Medical Association's magazine, Pediatrics, 2013.
Yeah, and this was 2013. So they've known this, and they just now put autism in.
And then read what it says there. This study analyzed 323,247 healthcare records to compare children under 2 years of age who were fully vaccinated at CDC recommended ages to children who were under-vaccinated.
Well, let me go back. So,
Oh, sorry. I was just reading that first paragraph under the source.
this study analyzed, yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
See, this is what the summary. Well, let's go to the next summary.
Okay. This one's infants who receive the most vaccines have the worst hospitalization and death rates.
And this is from the Human Experiential Toxicology,
And
2012, and from the same journal. Developed nations that require the most vaccines tend to have the worst infant mortality rates.
yeah, that's the first 3 pages. Oh, I did them backwards. 3, 2, 1. But
That's all right.
that's okay. But that's the first 3 of 400 scientific summaries.
So many of you are absolutely convinced vaccines are the best things since sliced bread. That's fine. You might want to read this book. Many of you are already convinced that vaccines are not the best thing in the world to be injecting into children. Here are 400 critical studies to underwrite that. But really, the reason I'm recommending this is for those of you who've already made up your mind you don't want to vaccinate, but you are pressured by your mother-in-law, by grandparents, by a father-in-law, by uncles, cousins, and especially religious leaders and political leaders and education leaders, that there must be something amiss in your cognitive skills and logical thinking that you would not have your child fully vaccinated. Here is your defense for those for those people who will not themselves read the information or research, especially MDs. And I can't say this because in my particular profession, we're just as guilty. They don't read their own research.
Right.
They don't read their own research, and they just go by consensus.
And the people that are, yes, and we explained that in the last podcast. Well, no, I think that's in my book. I can explain that it's the standard of care is
consensus thinking.
It is brought to fruition by consensus.
Yeah.
Not based
so
on.
when you get consensus thinking, when you got 6 doctors and 5 of them say, well, this is bad, and the 6th one said, hey, I just read the research and it's good, it's going to be bad because the 5 decided among themselves it was bad. That's consensus thinking.
Yeah. And, we know somebody that their family had an intervention while she was pregnant.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, and these family members don't bring scientific evidence.
Yeah, they don't load the intervention
fear.
person with stacks of research on their lap saying, read this, read that. No, they're just saying, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're dumb.
And they're frightened.
You're not a good mother.
And they're frightened and they're scared.
But they won't read the research.
But they don't read the research. They don't know. So you can.
And in some cases, I have to interrupt you, honey, they don't know where to get the research. Hence this book.
Yeah, it's only $14.95. Yeah, we just got ours. Okay, and this is a wonderful one.
The immunologists admit babies only vaccinated train the parents. We a year ago, 2 years ago, when I think we did our first vaccination podcast, we brought this thing up because this has been out since for about 4 years now.
Yeah,
and a PhD immunologist and vaccine proponent admitted during a conference that was involving healthcare professionals that babies are only given shots up to the age 1 in order to train the parents to get their kids into the medical system, and that the vaccines, of course, in and of themselves during the first year of life are completely worthless.
Yeah, so she responded to a question about the rationale of giving infants vaccines in the first year of their life when they have no positive effect. And
the question to the immunologist was...
Here's the actual transcript.
Question. So the science seems fairly clear that for the first year of life, probably, that the immunization is not stimulating the kind of response we expect it to stimulate.
True.
So what's the rationale then for continuing to do that if it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing?
Well, the vaccines are given at pediatric wellness visits, and the idea is that you are training the parents to bring their child in at all the pediatric wellness visits, and that it's only the year visit that actually is truly important. But that for most parents, you are not going to get them to bring their kid in if they don't come in at 2 months, 4 months, and 6 months, and so it's actually more of a training thing. It's interesting. I was on the phone with some county health person last week with one of their vaccine nurses, and she was like, oh, you're talking about vaccines? Well, make sure to tell them to do that year shot because the first 3, the 2, 4, and 6 month shots don't work. I was like, yeah, I know. And they all laughed.
That's it. I mean, this is so shocking on our end, we laugh. on their end, it's so simple because they know it's just to train the parents to get the kids to come in for their shots.
Yeah. A shocking study was published in a prestigious medical journal in 2011, which found a direct statistical link between higher vaccine doses and infant mortality rates in the developed world, suggesting that the increasing number of inoculations being forced upon children by medical authorities, particularly in the United States, which administers the highest number of vaccines and also has the highest number of infant deaths, is in fact having a detrimental impact on health.
Yeah, and that study's in that book.
It's in that book. It's by Nil. I put it right there.
Right.
And it's indexed in the National Library of Medicine. So.
Yep.
So.
I'm sorry. I'm way behind you. So, and this is from, we used Guyton's in college for our physiology classes.
It's the Bible.
It's the Bible. It's used in med schools. There's 2 or 3 physiology textbooks out there.
You can buy it for $69 on Amazon Kindle.
Yeah, and then you will need a medical dictionary to understand the words that are in here, as I did when I first took physiology in school. But I'll tell you, this is the baseline, ground zero understanding of how the body works. And if you go to the section on immunology, it explains why the immune system of a newborn baby. And up to a few months after birth, the baby being born with mama's antibodies in its bloodstream, right after the first month, they begin to decrease and decrease and decrease and decrease a little bit. From 6 to 12 months, it starts to generate its system. But this book, and you have the quote here, honey, on page 964, normal gamma globulin antibodies concentration returns to normal by the age of 12 to 20 months. Antibodies, what it's saying here, if you read the whole thing, what it's saying is a baby's body doesn't have the ability on a normal level to produce antibodies to a particular antigen, like a bacteria or a virus or a toxin that the baby might pick up, to a normal, reliable level till at least 12 months, maybe not till 20 months in some of these children.
So the use of vaccines before this time is largely ineffective.
Well, just as you quoted that epidemiologist that said, or no, that nurse, the shots at 2, 4, and 6 months do no good because it doesn't have.
That wasn't the nurse. That was the immunologist.
No. I mean the one where you quoted the nurse there at the end of the thing. Someone called
facts.
the public health official.
Yeah.
So it's like being in a baseball game and the pitcher's throwing pitchers and there's no catcher. The pitcher's throwing pitches and there's no catcher.
Well, and worse than that,
what kind of a game can you have?
Worse than that is the major issue of the toxicity in the chemicals.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up.
I mean, everybody thinks that there's just a dead bug and some sterile water in these vaccines.
Yep.
But we've done many podcasts on what is actually in the vaccines, not the least of which is aluminum. And I just want to reiterate, I think it was in our last one we did on vaccines, where little boys have a completely different reaction to vaccines than little girls. Little boys, if they're held down with no means of escape,
restrained,
which is usually the case when they're getting shots.
And mama is usually one of the restrainers.
Yeah, and that's even worse when mama's doing it. I don't even know what psychological problems that causes, but they get this shot, and little boys call white blood cells to their brain, and when they do that, when they get injected with aluminum, that gets called right up to their brain.
Yeah.
We talked about the actual
phagocytes,
mechanism.
The macrophages come and pick up the nanoparticles of aluminum and carry them to the brain.
Right to the brain. Now, little girls are different. Little girls will surrender when they are in a situation where there's no possible means of escape. Right. Isn't that interesting? Kind of sad, but truly, I think this is an important difference between boys and girls, which we don't point out enough. Boys have to be a little bit autistic just naturally because they have to go out and kill. I mean, they have to sever their emotions somewhat more than girls do because they're the hunters, we are the gatherers, and we are the nurturers. But men have to be a little, they can't break down and cry every time they kill a deer.
Yeah.
So that's a natural response. You did, I know.
That's why I don't hunt anymore.
Wow, where is your gender in question?
No, I hope not.
Yeah, it's okay.
You tell me.
Absolutely not. So So that is a really important difference. And that's why we see a significant amount of little boys with autism,
Yes, over
especially firstborn.
That's one of the good reasons why.
Especially firstborn little boys.
Firstborn,
because all
yes.
the toxicity of the mother gets dumped into the little boy. Mother Nature protects little girls more than little boys,
Yes.
for obvious reasons. But that's what's so sad about that. That's why when that law passed in California, some group said that this is going to devastate the little boys
Yes.
in
Yep.
California.
Yep.
They didn't say the little girls. They didn't say children. They said the little boys are going to be devastated.
Yeah, they're not going to be a bunch of
So here's-
surfing beach boys anymore.
Yeah. So here's the facts. Medical physiology, the Bible of
Yep.
physiology, says they don't make antibodies much until the 12th
Yep,
to the
until
20th.
they're at least a year old.
Yeah. So you're just filling them full of toxicity. Now do that with the intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't finish the story. So this intervention, the woman that was pregnant did go ahead and get the flu vaccine, which has not only aluminum, but mercury in it. There's no words. And yes, the child has an autoimmune disease of the small intestine.
The only one of the children that does.
Yeah, 4 children. It's the
Yep.
only one that she got the flu shot on, and bam. Anyway.
Now, I would like to believe in my heart of hearts that the people who were behind this and the people who administered that toxic cocktail during her pregnancy really thought they were doing something good.
I'm sure they did. I really do.
I would like to believe that they are so stinking ignorant of the research and the truth that they thought they were doing something good.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's just put that out there, because I was completely ignorant when I gave my children.
Well, I did too.
I know.
With my first children,
Okay.
I did too,
So-
but it petered off really fast after that. And then, of course, our son has not had one vaccine.
Yeah. So let's recap really quickly, because we're going to do a fast podcast.
Oh, surprise
This is
announcement.
awesome.
Surprise announcement. Mary and I just looked at each other and said, all right, you want to go put another 2 weeks into the next podcast? No, I don't want to do that anymore. So let's make them shorter. 'cause
Okay, so let's just recap this really quickly.
here I am trying to make it longer. All right, let's go on.
The FDA required the makers of Tripedia vaccine, the DTaP, to list in their vaccine insert autism as a side
And
effect.
DTaP is diphtheria, tetanus, and acellular pertussis, which is whooping cough.
That's the one that my daughter had the seizure
Yeah,
on.
all
It
right.
was the pertussis, yeah. And the side effects listed are
I think we already went through these. Idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, and NSAIDs, anaphylactic reaction, cellulitis, autism, convulsion, grand mal convulsions, encephalopathy, hypotonia, neuropathy, somnolence, and apnea.
So we just want to really emphasize in red, as we did, autism is now listed as a side effect. So they cannot say anymore that vaccinations can't cause autism.
Yes.
They can cause autism.
Yes, it's not, and not all autism is caused by vaccinations, of course, because there are kids who aren't vaccinated. Occasionally they get it, but it's still
Well, they get them-
environmental factors.
They get the microbiome from their mother, too.
Yes.
So
There are other forms of poisoning, but the most common form of poisoning with autistic children
this
is
is
the vaccine.
just a bad one. This is just a really big
Yes.
risk
Yep.
when you vaccinate. There's
Right.
other causes, but yes, this is huge. Utah is now following a course that will lead to the same law in California, step by step towards mandatory vaccines. And we highly recommend Neil Miller's book, Critical Vaccine Studies. It's 400 scientific papers summarized for parents and researchers. $14.95 on Amazon. Well worth the money. Okay, we just want to remind you to take our free symptom survey. Just simply go to our website, forbiddendoctor.com, and take our free symptom survey.
Yeah, and then you will get a call or a text from our staff letting you know that your free personalized protocol is ready. I emphasize free.
Free, and you just simply log back on and see your personalized protocol right there. It's so cool.
And you can also schedule a free 30-minute consultation to explain the results of the symptom survey.
Mm-hmm.
Again, free.
Yeah, and you don't have to do the consultation. Some people don't like talking to people.
Yeah.
We understand, but it is free, and
Just let me see my results.
yeah, and that's $150 value. Costs us at least that to do, but we want to help heal the world.
Yes.
That's why we're doing this. So, go to forbiddendoctor.com
Yes.
to do that. And it's right on the first page. It's right on the home page.
So thank you for listening to this forbidden information.
This
and
short
our
forbidden information.
podcast. Yes.
Yes.
We're going to try and keep all future ones short. We were really shooting for 30 minutes and we're just short of 40. That's good.
So if you like what we're doing in these podcasts, you can support us by leaving a positive review or a comment or a question at the end of the podcast. Please leave a comment at the bottom. We want to get these full of comments about the podcast. And please read this disclaimer and join us next time for another in-depth discussion or short discussion of forbidden knowledge. And we will see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Forbidden Doctor podcast. If you are curious about long life energy enzymes or ageless thyroid, you can purchase them without a membership from our website at forbiddendoctor.com. Or get our enzyme formula from Amazon.com by searching the full term, Long Life Energy Enzymes. Don't forget to take our obligation-free symptom survey to get a free personalized supplement protocol recommended for you by Dr. Jack, Mary, or one of our qualified nutritionists. Take the survey, get a call from our nutritionist to create a protocol and a patient login, then use that login to see your own personal protocol along with any favorites you've saved from our symptom library. Remember, our website and our clinic are here for you always.